Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our very first edition of the monthly podcast for the St. Pete Timebank. I'm your host, Sandy Bigler. I'm also the chair of the St. Pete Timebank, and also joining us tonight is Katrina. Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, everyone.
So Katrina has obviously she became the sacrificial lamb here tonight to be the first guest on the show and to find out what this is going to actually be like for anybody to be on here. So yay! Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm really happy to be here. This is super exciting. It's my first time being on a podcast.
Well, there's a first for everything, and we are so thankful that you chose to take the opportunity to use us as your first time being, we like those versions. So, yay!
First. Yes. I love it.
Thank you. So, tell me, how long have you been a member of the St. Pete Time Bank?
Oh, good question. It's at least 3 years. I think it's probably close to 4 years. It's been about 4 years, maybe even more. I'm sorry that I don't have the precise date. I should have looked that up ahead of time. How long have you been a member, Sandy?
I joined at the same time that you did. So we've been a member since 2019.
Oh, okay.
It was July of 2019.
It's only 3 years then. Wow. That's
Mhm.
great.
Yes. And tell me do you remember your first ever exchange?
I do. There was a woman who didn't drive who needed a ride to get groceries, and she liked going to Whole Foods. And she said, "Is anyone going to Whole Foods?" Anytime she posted to Facebook. And I said I could go. So we went grocery shopping together, basically. She was really nice. And I picked her up, got groceries, brought her back home. It was kind of just like going grocery shopping with a friend.
Nice. So, with that experience being, your first experience, what's the best experience you've ever had as a time banker?
Well, good question. I don't know. There have been many exchanges over the last 3 years, but I can tell you I had a really great experience this past week. That's just making my heart sing. There was a gentleman who posted to the Facebook group that he's been really struggling finding work. There's lots of work. He just wants to work in customer service at like a grocery store or Lowe's or anything like that, customer service based. And he said he had done interviews and he just gets so nervous and he does a terrible job and he's just feeling horrible about it. So I offered to help him with his interview skills. Not that I'm a pro at it, but I've conducted interviews, job interviews,
Mhm.
and I've applied for many jobs myself. And I've done some research. And actually, I once was laid off from a job, and the company provided a career coach who gave me lots of tips on interview skills and resumes, all of that. So I felt like I had something to offer and to help him out with just from my skills. So we ended up meeting up at a tea house, and we spent about a little over 3 hours together. He was really nervous, and I could see the anxiety. I could hear it in his voice. It was hard for him. So we did a practice interview. I gave him some feedback. Some of the feedback is he have to act, because he's going to be nervous no matter what, but he has to act confident even if he's not feeling confident. That
Right.
makes a difference in an interview. um, and then also he wasn't prepared for the questions, the interview questions. Like, I had a list. So what we ended up doing was making a library of questions and responses. So I created a Google Doc for him,
Mhm.
and I added a bunch of questions, like typical interview questions. He added a bunch, and then he wrote up what he thought were some good responses to it, and I helped him refine some of them, twisted to a positive way. Added some stories, because in interviews they often ask you, can you tell us a situation where you had to deal with an angry customer? What did you do? That type of thing. And he wasn't, when we did our practice interview, he wasn't prepared for that. So he wrote up all of those examples. We refined it. He got an interview with Costco, and he really wanted to work for Costco. It's a good company. And apparently they have like a 94% retain, what's that called? Like a rate that people don't leave. 94% of the people who work there never leave because they love it so much. So that was really interesting to him. So he had his interview yesterday, and he said it went amazing. He texted me immediately after, and then like texted me the whole story of how it went. He said he was really nervous, but he felt prepared because he had all those answers. The act of writing them down helped him remember. I know that's a tool that I use often as well. So he had all the answers prepared. He knew exactly what to say in response to every question they threw at him. And he aced it. Like they said, we want you, and I guess he's on the list. I don't know if they actually formally offered him the job,
Right.
but it's further along. He might have to do some other, I don't know, probably drug testing or something like that, typical stuff. But basically, he's got the job, and he's really excited. And I feel it's just a really good feeling to know that I was able to help him build his confidence and give him some tools to win that situation. It's awesome.
Oh, that's so beautiful, because one of the things with time banking is reciprocity. And do you feel that that happened in this exchange between the two of you?
Absolutely. So it was some work for me. I spent several hours, like I prepared myself and editing the document, but it was really rewarding work. And just the joy of helping someone win, win at life. Like that's just a really good feeling. It's yeah, there's absolutely reciprocity there. It's emotional, not tangible stuff, but
Right.
absolutely, it 100%.
Well, let me ask you this. What does time banking mean to you? Like, how do you explain it to somebody when you meet them and you talk about your involvement in it? How do you explain it?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I do tell people about it all the time because I really believe in this organization. I think it's a wonderful thing. So, my elevator pitch for time banking is it's a volunteer program, but it's with a focus on community, and you're not volunteering for organizations, you're volunteering for individuals in your community, and you give what you can, and you ask for help for what you need, and people offer it up. You offer up what you can. People ask for what they need, you offer it up, and you get time credits that you put in your bank that you then can spend on things that you need. So with my time credits, I've spent it on, I bought some pottery equipment for my studio, some used equipment, and I didn't have anyone to help me lift it. Like, and some of the things were like 150 pounds. I
Right.
could lift half of that. I can't lift the whole thing by myself. So I posted, and the timing was sensitive. It had to be done at like 10 o'clock at night or 8:30 in the morning because I had to rent a truck. So I posted a request, and a really lovely lady offered to help. She was nice and strong and came over, and she helped me unload the truck. So I got to spend my time credits on that. Another woman is an elderly lady, took some painting classes, watercolor painting classes, and she had tons of watercolors, and she said she was just done. She didn't want to do it anymore, but she had tons of watercolor paints and brushes and canvases and paper, and she offered it up, said if anyone's interested, and I jumped on that. And it's a lot of supplies. Like, I ended up having a painting party with some friends. We got to use all the supplies, so I got to spend my time credits on that as well. Like, really wonderful things that have enriched my life and made it better. So
That is amazing. Um, I can feel the energy coming off of you from the excitement of doing that. Do you, when you're talking to people about the time bank, are you just as excited as you are right now? Because
Oh,
I want to join
100%.
just from listening to you.
Yeah, 100%. I may be a bit of a recruiter for the time bank. I've just this week actually, Claudia, who's one of my students. I teach pottery part-time at
Uh-huh.
evenings at Roberts Recreation Center in St. Pete, and one of my students, who's I'd like to say is my friend as well, her name's Claudia. She was just saying something how like she really wished she could find a community in St. Pete, or live somewhere where she could have a community. I told her about the time bank. She liked the sound of it, and she just signed up. She just had her orientation. I think it was yesterday. So lots of friends actually that I've converted or recruited into Time Bank members. My friend Catherine has been a member for a couple of years. Actually, she came to the orientation with me, so I had known about it beforehand, and she came to the orientation with me and she participated. We recently did some video clips for Rob Greenfield is a videographer that BJ, our Time Bank founder,
Mm-hmm.
that BJ recruited Rob Greenfield to create a video about the St. Pete Time Bank recently. I don't know. You probably know about this, right?
I mean, I know about it sort of. I've been watching the posts and stuff like that, and I'm looking forward to that video rearing itself and birthing itself real soon because I would love to see it. I do know that you guys are like collecting video clips of people's exchanges and kind of like no words involved, just emotions emitting on video. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, some actions. So, my friend Catherine, who's a Time Bank member as well, she and I went out to an ATM, for example, and set up the camera on a tripod. And I walked up to the ATM and like pressed some buttons, and a clock came out of it. We had to like figure out some kind of like clever angles to make it look
Uh-huh.
like it came out of the ATM. Also, another friend of mine, Kathleen, who's a recent Time Bank member, she participated as well, where we were passing clocks to each other and recorded little video clips for that. Um, yeah, so that's just like another project for the Time Bank, but we got Time Bank credits for contributing to it, and then we also get to see a really cool video. I think I got an email from Jameson, who's the person working on it through Rob Greenfield, I guess.
Mhm.
He emailed me just yesterday that they're in the final stages, like it's almost ready. I'm super excited to see.
Ooh, I'm super excited too. And
Yeah.
BJ just let me know that he contacted us.
Oh, he
Uh,
did contacted
yeah,
us. That's
yes,
cool.
Rob Greenfield reached out to us
I love that.
asked for all that. So yay. And we're getting, the neat thing about the St. Pete Time Bank, we have one of the most active time banks according to this producer that I talked to yesterday that wants to feature us in a show coming up, and we'll talk about that later on. But he says that we are one of the most active time banks that they are watching worldwide.
I
Next
love
to New
that.
Zealand. New Zealand apparently has a big one.
Okay. I credit BJ for that. She's been an amazing founder. She's so
Yes.
engaged, so motivating, and yeah, she just has a really great way about her to get people to want to contribute and want to be involved. It's really wonderful.
Oh
And she
yeah.
has so much word for it. And now,
She's so smart too, Katrina.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
just that brain of hers is amazing.
we're lucky to have her. I don't think the Time Bank would be what it is without her. BJ, I love you. We love
So, is there anything that you feel that we need to improve on in the time bank? Have you had any blockages or any issues? Is there, because I'd like to know personally, what needs to improve? Like ideas, where could we go with this? we're open because we want to grow as a community.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of anything. I know we're not that engaged on social media. Like, it's growing, it's happening, and I think having the podcast, I know that there's an Instagram account. I don't see much happening there, but I follow 7,000 accounts on Instagram because I follow potters, a lot of potters. Anyways, so that might be my fault. That I mean, like, I don't know how it can be improved. I do miss our potlucks. Those were a lot of fun, but I don't think it's
Speaking
appropriate right now.
Yeah, speaking of those, I know that I know everybody is missing that. I miss them too. I met some wonderful people at the beginning for the for the time bank. When I first joined, I went to a few of the potlucks. I met Sheena. I met Judith, who I love dearly. I met so many amazing souls at these potlucks, but those are going to come again in the near future. We just have to have a little patience and understanding, because we just don't want to get out there and be super spreaders. You know what I mean? Let's let this all pass through, and
Yes.
we could get there too. But we could do like a Zoom call or something like that.
Yeah, actually, that could be fun. I
We
know I work in front of a computer all day, so, but if it was just like an hour long, that could be a lot of fun.
It could be. And also too, we could have an event where we watch a movie together as a time bank, and there'll be a chat room, and you can comment on different things during the movie and everything. AARP does that. I've done it through work. So there's
That could be
programs
fun.
that we could implement. Yeah, where if people have Netflix or Prime or whatever, and you do this plug-in,
A
then we
watch
can all
party.
watch a movie together and comment. Just
Mhm.
because we can't get together physically doesn't mean we can't do it virtually right now.
That's true. You know, something else that I would really like is a meet and greet, because I know that we have what, 300 plus members. I can only probably name 20.
Right,
And, I probably met 50 or 60 through the potlucks over the last couple of years,
right.
but a meet and greet could be really interesting, even if it were outdoors or on Zoom. Um, I don't know, an idea.
Well, we're hoping to do something like that real soon. Outdoors, I don't have a problem. I just don't, I don't want to be responsible. If people don't want you, if somebody got sick there right now, it's kind of like a touchy subject with everybody. So, but maybe on Zoom we could do that. That might be something that we can lean towards too, so people can get to know each other.
Mhm.
Brian has a question in here. He says, "How does it work technically? Is it an app based or centrally administrated, website based?" So, Brian, I guess your question is about watching the movie. It's a plug-in that you have your I'll get the site to everybody. I can post it on Facebook for everybody. Can't think of the name of it right now because I'm not on the right page for it. But it's a plugin that you do through your web browser, and it allows you to connect with other people through Netflix, Prime, or whatever page subscription type, like HBO, Cinemax, and stuff like that. So if that's what you were asking, I can get that information posted on our Facebook page.
I wonder if he was asking about the time bank, how that
Oh, he's
the time
asking the
bank
question
is
about
gonna.
the time bank itself. Okay.
Okay.
So how does it technically work? Okay. Well, we were talking about that a few minutes ago about the time bank. I was asking Katrina how she would explain it. Uh, but
Yeah, I
what,
explained the
what
concept, not really how we manage it, or where do we collect our time credits?
So the St.Pete Timebank.org is where you would sign in and create an account, and go through orientation. And that is where the bank is located that holds the time itself. If that's your question, Brian.
Yeah, it's actually, I find it's a really easy software program to use. So it's a website, you sign in, you create a profile. And I noticed, Sandy, that you copied my entire profile and posted it in
I did.
the invite of the YouTube account for the YouTube video for tonight, which is great. I know I wrote a really detailed, long profile.
Well, I
So
like you have your thing about your pottery. So I wanted people to be able to reach out about your pottery since you're so passionate about it.
thank you. I appreciate that, really. Yeah, so yeah, you write a profile, you can see once you're signed in and once you're an active member, you can see everyone else's profiles, and there are many different sections in the software, but I know there's one where you can look at requests and another you could look at offers. So people post offers for, I don't know, I posted one recently where I had a piece of pottery that I didn't want to sell. It was like a second. It had a little bit of a flaw to it. I didn't want to throw it out though, because it was still good and still beautiful. So I posted like kind of like an ad for it. Would anyone like this piece of pottery, this cup, for time credits? So that's in the offers. And in requests, I posted a request like, I need help for about an hour to move pottery equipment. So you can go and look. It's almost like Craigslist ads. No. Almost like Facebook Marketplace ads. It's like the old-fashioned Craigslist. It used to be a long time ago. But yeah, it's really nice and easy to use. And then once you actually do the service or pick up the item or exchange the item, whatever it happens to be, you sign in and you log time. And I don't know if you can see on everyone else's account how much time they have in their bank, but I know when I look at my profile, I can see I have like 14 hours of time credits in my bank right now.
So that's a good question. And BJ, if you can answer that question, I know you're listening. Do members have opportunity to see? I know I can see everybody's time bank credits because I'm an administrator.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if just like if other people can log in. That was a very good question. If you can see the other members' hours that they have banked and everything like that. So and you know what? You don't have to have this is a very important conversation talking about time bank credits. You don't have to have time bank credits to go and get something. You can be in they call the red, and that is okay because that's building community, right? You don't have to have time credits first before you go out and do anything. So she says, I don't think the general members can see the others members' hours. So I didn't think so either. I
Okay.
didn't. Um,
That
but
makes sense.
yeah, but it's really important that really doesn't even matter in this. It's about doing something positive for another human being at this point, right? And
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, so don't worry about your hours. If you're new to the time bank, there's plenty of opportunity to earn some hours to go into your bank, but that's not our focus. It's about driving through to help out the community, one person at a time. And BJ has a beautiful slogan, and it just slips my mind. So about that, she comes up with these beautiful things she says all the time, and I need to write them down. I'm really bad about that. We should have quote central on the Facebook page, or I mean, actually, no, inside the Time Bank webpage. People can come up with slogans or taglines or anything like that. That would be awesome that we can feature every once in a while everywhere, because you're right. We need to get out there social media wise.
I mean, it's nice. I don't know that it's necessary. People manage to find us, I think, through word of mouth and through other time banks. I actually made a friend with a woman, her name's Debbie, who's in Georgia and is in a sister time bank, or just like another time bank. And I guess you could see, there are ways to see activities and posts of other time banks through this global software app. So she responded to one of my requests for help. I was getting burnt out. So I'm on social media a lot for my pottery business, and I was getting burnt out from it. And I asked if anyone would please just take over it for 1 week. Take over my Instagram for 1 week, post something every day, and I just want to step away and take a little break. And she answered, and we became friends. Um, and I learned at that point that she's in Augusta, Georgia, and it is an honorary member of our time bank somehow. And she was able to help virtually, and it was a great exchange. It was perfect, exactly what I needed.
Aw, I love that. And I know who you're talking about. I've talked to her on the phone. She was going to do a cooking class, I think, right before the pandemic hit, or sometime at that point. But yeah, she's a sweetheart. And she helped BJ with the St. Pete Timebank.org face page that we got started here. But BJ did most of the work, but she, was the catalyst to help her out with that. And BJ posted this: time banking isn't magic, but magic happens when we time bank.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that beautiful? She just told me about that yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at the comments now. I didn't see them earlier.
Oh yeah, so people can comment to us while we're doing this podcast.
I knew they were commenting. I just didn't know how to see it. Catalina, nice to see you. Catalina has the greatest time bank story. I do hope that she's on your podcast one time, because she met her husband through the time bank. It's a beautiful story.
I love it. How many friends have you met on the time bank?
Lots. How many? I don't know, 20 or so. I don't know. I've invited many of my friends to the time bank, that like people I've known beforehand, and then I've made many friends. Absolutely. Like, yeah, just it's a true community. Um I don't think there's a bad apple in the group. And honestly, I'm not sure that there are bad apples in the world. There just depends on what's going on in our own lives at any given moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've just met so many wonderful people who are giving and loving, and have so much to share of themselves. Um, I also really appreciate, I want to talk about this, is that we're encouraged to set our own boundaries too. Like, you don't have to do everything that everyone asks of you through the time bank. You can agree to do an exchange, or like talk to someone about doing an exchange. And if it just doesn't feel right to you, you can say no. And it's stressed that that's perfectly acceptable. And both parties need to understand, like, sometimes it's just not a good fit. Personality wise, or whatever, timing, distance, because not everyone is in St. Pete. I know my friend Catherine's in Palm Harbor, which is a little bit further away. So if she needs some help with something, someone may not be able to drive to Palm Harbor to help her out with it, that kind of thing. But I appreciate that reinforcement or encouragement to set our boundaries and respect them without any hurt feelings or any hard feelings over that. That's a nice benefit to it.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up too, because you can do, in the time bank, you can meet up with some people that, that you don't feel comfortable with, right? You're just not vibing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other members in here that you can vibe with. You don't have to become their friend or anything like that. And it's a choice. And this community, the way it's set up, is you have the right to say no to something, there's no pressure, there's no, anything. It's your choice to do a request or an offer, whatever. It's your choice every
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing.
I totally agree. It's been nice. Yeah.
So Catalina is not here in St. Pete anymore, is she?
No, she moved to Hawaii.
I know, right? That's cool.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know. I think she's still a member of the Time Bank, though. I think she
Yes,
still
she is.
participates long distance. It's wonderful. I'm curious, though, Sandy, I would love to hear the story of how you found out about the Time Bank.
Well, for me personally, I have a beautiful friend by the name of Barb Berger, who is a member of the St. Pete Timebank, but she's also a member of Unity, the church off of 4th Street and about 47th or 46th Avenue. And I went to one of her little book studies on the sister circle group, and she told me about the time bank, and I really love that concept. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really, helping other people out, and I can ask for help too, but I don't, because it's really hard for me to ask for help.
No. Hopefully you're working on that.
I'm working on that. That's what therapy's for.
Yes.
I'm the first to volunteer and go help anybody, but for me to ask for help, that's I have to work on that. I'm working on it. So, but yeah, Barb Berger, she's a longtime member before I was, at least a year or so before me, or maybe 6 months, I don't know. But she's the one that told me about it, and I joined it, and I went to a few potlucks, and it was enjoyable for me to get out of the house, because I was a caregiver and plus had a full-time job. And it was nice to get out and meet other human beings that like to help their community out. So it really was a great. But then my significant other, he got cancer, and I had to put, doing any kind of help at all whatsoever into the time bank. But then when he passed away, the time bank stepped in and helped me out. They did a food train for me, and they collected money for me, and they sent people over. And this is during the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
We're talking April, May. So the pandemic, hit March. So we hadn't been into it too much, at that time. But people were still in their hearts, physically coming to see me.
Oh, I love
and
that.
helping me out, because I was just an emotional train wreck at that point. And I'm so thankful for BJ uh, what is her? I got her. She's going to be our secretary. And I got her, Joey. Joey, do you know Joey?
I do.
Yes,
Yeah.
Joey. She was coming over. BJ was coming over. Barb was coming over. Anna was coming over. People were just like, and people donated money that I didn't even know and hadn't even met yet through the time bank, and made sure that I was taken care of. So, I mean, it was very beautiful, and I didn't have to ask. It just came rolling in that way.
I love that so much, Sandy. That's beautiful.
I'm blessed.
Community.
Yeah, I feel very blessed to be a part of this community. I want to see it grow. I want to see more members coming in here. I want us to be really just big, doing big community events too as well. My goal is, the chair coming in here, is to build up membership and build a great board for the St. Pete Time Bank. And it doesn't mean that a member has to be a member of the St. Pete Time Bank, but we are looking for board members. So anybody interested in volunteering their time to be on the board, we are open to have you.
Can you tell me, what is the Time Bank board? Like, why is it necessary, and what do they do?
Well, the Time Bank board is what runs this organization. You just, whenever we have to have funds to run this organization. And we're a non-for-profit organization. We're not a 501(c), but we have uh, a sponsor that is a 501(c). But we have to reach out to different um, people, philanthropists, to get money to keep this going. Right now, we have our costs down to a certain amount every year to keep it running, because we got to have money for insurance to go to do those events that people like to do, those time bank events.
Oh,
We have to have insurance for that.
oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, people don't know that you got to have insurance, and then you got to report to the state. If you're asking for money for grants, you have to ask the state that you can do that. So there's some behind the scene things involved with having a group like this. So even though we're not making any money, nobody gets paid to do this or anything like that, we can't do it for free. So that's why we occasionally, and we have, oh, thank goodness for beautiful members that contribute monthly through PayPal or GoFundMe, and they send in donation. That helps out a lot. Our treasurer, Deb Black, she writes grants and reaches out to different grant boards, and is always writing out grants, LOIs and things I'm learning about. That's the neat thing about the board. You may not know what you need to do on a board, but there's so much learning opportunities to grow, and as a person, to help out an organization to keep it growing and moving towards bigger and bigger and better things.
So are there specific roles in the board that you're looking to fill, or is it just like a team of people who make decisions for the time bank?
It's all of the above. We have action groups. We have we have general board members that we need to fill spots for. We have board members. BJ was just telling me our budget on the software site open to all members, but again, we have to pay for the website. That costs money to host it, and we have to pay timebank.org for their software program every year. We have to have insurance. But so there's different roles and parts on the board itself. There's people that that we have a secretary position, we have the treasurer, we got the chair, we need a vice chair that help makes decisions, and then we have regular board members that help us with the voting process, and then we have people that will run different action committee groups.
Okay.
Like for marketing, for events, for membership growth, all of that stuff.
What would you say is the time commitment to be a board member?
That's a good question, because I'm just now getting into it myself, and I work on it whenever I have spare time.
So is
BJ,
that like
that's more of a
hour a
BJ.
day?
That's more of a BJ question, because she knows. But she's the founder, and she's poured her blood, sweat, and tears into doing this. This has been her baby, creating this. Because she was with the Tampa Bay Time Bank.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and
I can't wait until BJ is your guest on the podcast.
I know. I'm trying to get her to come on here.
Well, we're just gonna have to all vote to get her on or something.
I know. And Katrina, you're really good at this. Maybe you should be the podcast person monthly and having the guest on and asking the questions, because you're doing a fabulous job grilling me. I love it.
Grilling you.
Yeah. No.
Great.
I think you would be a great host.
Oh, thank you. I may consider it. Let's talk offline about that.
Yes, we will.
Right now, I've got 2 jobs. I've got a full-time day job and a part-time night job teaching pottery.
it's only a once a month commitment for an hour, and stuff. I can set up the technical part of it. You wouldn't have to do that, but um,
Okay, let's talk.
okay, we'll talk. So time commitment is based on the position. So again, it depends on. She's right. I guess it's if you're going to be a chairperson, there's so much. Basically, you got to. For me, I'm probably putting somewhere anywhere between 20 and 40 hours a month for that. It depends, and then sometimes it's less than that. It just really depends.
And you're
I
the
know.
chair, like the head honcho.
Yeah, but it's just a title, honey. It doesn't mean anything.
I think it means a lot. I think that it's really wonderful that we have you. I know this is a very recent role for you, right? So BJ has been our founding member and she was the chair for many years. Do you know how
Well,
many years, BJ?
so I believe BJ started the St. Pete Time Bank 5 years ago. Is that right, BJ? Has it been five for you, or I think I heard her say five yesterday when we were talking about this,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, so she was with the Tampa Bay Time Bank prior to that.
Right.
And she moved over here to this side, and there was some members over here on this side of the pond. I call it this side of the pond. Since 2016 is when she started it over here, and so it was to help create I don't know, comradeship over here and stuff like that. Because for the people over here to get started on this side,
Mhm.
and and now I don't know if you know Rita over at the Tampa Bay Time Bank. She
No.
wants to do so. We're going to try to do some collaboration stuff. Like we're going to connect together. We're not going to be one organization. St. Pete Time Bank is always going to be St. Pete Time Bank, and Tampa Bay Time Bank is going to be there. But we're going to have more open channels so that people can do stuff for each other on either side of the pond.
Great.
And yeah, so and get the most important thing is to get this out there to let people know, because when I mentioned the St. Pete Time Bank to people that I meet, they're like, what is that? They still don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that for yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm a bit of an evangelist in that way. Like I just told my coworkers, I've told my coworkers about it a couple of times, but it just came up in conversation at a team meeting yesterday. I mentioned it and said that I'm going to be on a podcast, and they wanted to see it. So yeah, absolutely. I mention it and people are like, a time bank? What is that? And a lot of people assume that it's like a bartering system. And I don't think it's like that at all. And I know one particular reason why it's not is because bartering is taxed.
Right.
And time bank credits are not taxed. It's not a loophole. It's just because it's not tangible, or not necessarily tangible items. There's a reason for it. I remember reading about it somewhere.
They call it an alternative economy.
Right. There's no reason to tax it. We don't want it to be taxed, and it shouldn't be. Again, because it's just about the community. It's not bartering. It's not like, so someone helped me for move the pottery equipment for an hour. Holly helped me. So she got one time credit for that because it was 1 hour.
Right.
If it were a bartering system, she would say, well, I, um, I don't know, I've got big muscles and I needed to eat like 2 extra bananas that day to help you move. So I want 5 time credits for moving it. No, it doesn't work like that, because it's about time, and it's valuing all of our time equally, which is also a really beautiful concept, I think.
Well, let me ask you this. What would you do personally if you think this is going to be kind of a hard question because I'm putting you on the spot,
Okay.
but what would you do to drive up membership?
Um, I my gut reaction is I'm cautious of driving it up too quickly. I think it makes sense for it to grow organically. Um, so that we get people who are really committed to it and not just dipping their toes in the water and then like they join and do absolutely nothing and disappear, although maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. um, but to I think word of mouth really is the best way. So asking people to talk to their friends and family about the time bank, offering time credits for having conversations with your friends and family, like one time credit for um, every name you submit on the website. I know there's a form I helped BJ create it a while back. There's a form, a refer a friend form
Uh-huh.
on the Time Bank's website that any member can refer a friend, and that's how I invited Claudia actually, uh, and uh, maybe like offering a time credit for that, like some rewards for members to spread the word, because I do think members do make the best evangelists because we have the experience and we believe in it. That's the best marketing and sales tool, right? Is someone who really believes in the power and the benefits of this wonderful thing we have.
Yeah, I love that answer. I was thinking too, free t-shirts for every person you get to join or something. Because I donate blood just so I can get a t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that could work. Free t-shirts. Um, what else? I
I've
don't
got to
know.
I've got to find somebody to donate the t-shirts though. You know what I mean? Being
Yeah,
a non-for-profit, we really don't have any money to go buy the t-shirts, but we could get that logo that she mentioned. Time bank isn't magic, but magic happens when we time bank, and put that right on the t-shirt.
that
And
would be sweet.
yeah, that would be really totally uber cool to do that. But I've got to find somebody that will donate the t-shirts for us. So we'll see what happens. I'm trying to network and get to know the community whenever I can get out there. I know that it takes time to get that stuff rolling, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But I was just curious. You're right. Word of mouth is the best way. That's how I found out about it.
Exactly. That's how I found about it too. Actually, I want to tell a story about that. I have a friend. Her name's Mandy, and she has a cafe, community cafe. Have you heard of it?
Oh, that's where I did my orientation. I love Mandy. She's a
Oh,
sweetheart.
she really is. She's great. And she and I have been friends for a decade. And when the cafe was on Central Avenue, I used to work there like a couple of hours a week, just evenings. It was just a fun job, it's like really social and just make coffee and sandwiches for people. And she became, I don't know how she found out about the time bank, but she was a member and she used the time bank for a lot. And I think she managed the swap, like a clothing, a stuff swap through the time bank.
Yes.
I've never been to one, but I knew about it through her. She posts a lot about it. And she just kept talking about it and explaining what it was. And then one day she introduced me to BJ. BJ was at the cafe. I forget what she was doing, but she was there at the cafe, and I met BJ, who's a wonderful person, as you know, like just really easy to like. The first time you meet her, she's just lovely. Um, and the second time you meet her, she's lovely too. but but yeah, I just found out that way, just through my friend introducing me to someone in the time bank and talking about it and explaining like how easy it is and how great it is to make other friends and build a community. So it's a good thing.
Well, how is Mandy doing? I know that she had to move from Central to go to somewhere else. Is her cafe back open again?
It's been about a month since I checked in with her on the cafe. I know she's opening up St. Pete Oasis, which is a really large building that the cafe will be in there with some other little shops, like some other local shops, like I think an ice cream place and a donut and cupcake, gluten-free donuts and cupcake shop was going to be in there too, and they were going to call it St. Pete Oasis. So last time I checked in with her, that was still happening. It was just slow because they're remodeling the building so that it can't. They found an investor, um, all sorts of things. She's really good at coordinating all of that, but it was slow to happen. So I know it hasn't opened yet,
Oh,
but I also know that she hasn't given up on it. That's one of Mandy's fantastic traits. She is persistent and a really hard worker. So I know it'll happen.
oh, I'm so happy for her because I have been to the central location. I have been to one of those swap meets where people just brought something and then and then you just swap out for something else, and you got time credits for showing up and being there. And although I didn't take anything because I'm trying to downsize, the older you get in life, you find out you really don't need a whole lot of things in your life. You just want those experiences and the memories. Those they're most important thing. But it
Mhm.
is fun to see what people give up though. Like if you're nosy like I am, it is totally uber cool to
Oh, wow.
see that, right? And I love your word Uber that you use too. I love that word. I've been using it all week. I'm like, oh, I'm over uber excited.
It is a great word.
So yeah, and did you know the location of where this oasis is going to be?
I
Did she
don't
have
have the
to tell you?
address memorized, but I know it's a couple blocks south of Central. Maybe like 4 or 5 blocks south of Central. Um,
Okay. So
yeah, I
pretty,
don't remember.
but like the downtown area though.
Yep, it's still downtown. A
Uh-huh.
little bit out of downtown, like right downtown. Um, I'm trying to think what else is there. I think there might be a St. Pete, the USF St. Pete campus is right around there.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll have to ask her. Maybe you could get Mandy to be um in the podcast. Or maybe I can if I'm hosting.
Yeah, that's right. You just tell me who you want. We'll get them signed up. Not a problem. Not a problem at
Yeah,
all.
I would love to hear her story too. Honestly, I would love to hear everyone's stories of how they found out about the time bank and their experiences. It's such a
It
great
is.
opportunity to share these stories.
That is, that's the stories of everyone's life is like threads, and we're weaving them together, making one big old humanitarian blanket, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you mentioned you love doing pottery. Do you have an offer that you offer to help people with pottery on the time bank?
Not one right now. I do know that Holly, who helped me move the pottery equipment, she said, so when I posted my request, because I was desperate, or not even because I was desperate, I posted my request for help. I said, in exchange, like you'll get time credits in exchange, and if you want, I could teach you, like give you like a 1 or 2 hour lesson, on the wheel. So for wheel throwing pottery. And she said, yes, please. I want that lesson. So one of the pieces of equipment I got was a pottery wheel. So I
Oh,
have two wheels right now.
uh-huh.
I have an outdoor studio that's in my carport. I have an indoor studio that's used to be my guest room or my
Yeah.
office, and now it's my studio. Um, but I got a third wheel that's a really nice wheel from that equipment delivery, and it's broken, and it's at a motor repair shop right now being repaired.
Uh-huh.
He's waiting on the part. As soon as he gets the part and the wheel is fixed, I'm going to put it in my indoor studio, and I'm going to contact Holly, and it's actually for her child. um, and I want to say her child's name is Moon, something like that. It's actually a really beautiful name.
Aw.
And this little person wants to learn pottery. I think they are 11 or 12 years old, and they want to learn pottery. And I said that, yes, that absolutely we can do that as part of the exchange. And I'll give them a little one-on-one a lesson in my studio. So there's that. But I don't have any other specific offers related to my pottery right now in the time bank. Why do you ask?
Well, I'm just curious because I love pottery, and I'm sure that we have other time bankers that might want to learn a new hobby, and you do have your YouTube channel, right?
Yes, I do have a YouTube channel, and it's called The Naked Potter, and it's I don't make pottery naked in it at
Oh
all.
man, I thought you did. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a fun idea, but really the logic behind that name is about vulnerability and the benefits of being vulnerable. And what I do is in my videos, I'm making pottery and you watch me make pottery. And sometimes I use pottery as a metaphor for life lessons. And I talk about some personal things sometimes, like I've had some challenges with anxiety and depression, and I talk about that. I talk about, yeah, life lessons. So there's a voiceover of me talking about these things while I'm doing pottery. And that's the reason for that name. And that is
Oh,
my YouTube channel. I do have some demos and some instructional videos as well. But most of it is um, you watch me make pottery and I pontificate while while the video is happening. So
that is beautiful. Now, you said your part-time job you teach pottery?
I do, yeah. This is at Roberts Recreation Center. It's a community center in St. Pete. So I'm a contractor for the city of St. Pete, and I teach Monday nights and Thursday nights. The classes are both full. I have 11 students in one, and next month I'm going to have 12 students in the other, and it's a small room.
Oh.
Um, so, and they have a wait list. If anyone's interested in signing up, Roberts Recreation Center is a great place to take pottery classes because it's a really it's not prorated. What's the word for it? It's as cheap as it could possibly be. It's about $50 a month for classes. And if you
Oh,
go to any place like the Morian Art Center or the Hive, St. Pete, these are great centers to learn pottery, but it costs like $200 a month there.
oh, wow.
Pottery is expensive. The kiln's
Yes.
expensive. All the equipment is expensive. The clay isn't, but everything else does cost a fair amount. So this city of St. Pete actually pretty much sponsors these classes. So that $50 is just basics. It just covers the basic cost, and the rest is covered by the city. But that's why there's a wait list, and that's why my classes are full. There are some other classes as well, that other teachers from other teachers. But if
Mhm.
anyone is interested in signing up for that, call Roberts Recreation Center, get your name on that wait list. It might be a year, but you will eventually get in, and it's a really great opportunity.
Oh, yeah, I saw your pieces, before the show, and wow, I what a great opportunity for anybody to take lessons from you because you do beautiful work, so
Oh, thank you so much. I love doing it. I love teaching. It's a real passion of mine. I hope one day to retire from my day job and teach pottery full time. I'd really love to do that. It's on my long term goals list.
all right, all right. Well, we have about 2 minutes, and we're gonna be wrapping up tonight's episode. Is there anything that you wanna say to our listeners that they can take with them that, they may are thinking they're on the fence about whether to join this community or not?
Um, yeah, there's absolutely no harm in joining in, and seeing what it's about. The orientation, actually, yeah, the orientation meeting, they're online, which is really great, really easy to participate in that. And you can just go to that. It's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, I think, and find out more about it. They tell you the rules of the road, and talk about and show you how to use the software. And there's really nothing to be lost from that. It's worth it to just even try that, whether you end up being a member or not. Um, but I think the time bank is an opportunity for a really beautiful contributing, like community of people who help each other and who care about each other. And to the extent that you can offer, which, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm repeating myself.
No, you did a really good job. And one of the names I didn't mention tonight was Donna, our educational director who does the online orientation. She's a really beautiful soul. She's very passionate about teaching people about the time bank and how to use the website and getting people, signed up so they can start getting those offers and requests out there. So Donna, it's not that I didn't forget. It's just that it didn't come up till just about now. So please forgive me, but thank you for all your hard work too. And Katrina, thank you so much for being on tonight, being the first guinea pig.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
And you did so good. I want to put you in, I want to make you the host of this podcast, this monthly podcast, because you're amazing. You're a natural at it.
Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you. Let's talk.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out if I have the time. But maybe if I don't have the time, I have the time credits, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Thank you, Sandy. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really excited that you're our new chair. I can't wait to see what wonderful things you do with it.
Oh, well, thank you, Trina. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another, our first edition. There's going to be many more to come, and we're open to ideas of what you want to see on this podcast. It's going to be a once a month, a Friday night podcast. So be sure to look I forgot to post it on the stpete.org page, but it will be in the future, the Facebook page and the YouTube page. So thank you guys so much. Katrina, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're a beautiful
it's my
soul.
pleasure. Thank you. So are
Good
you.
night.
Bye. Bye, everyone.